welcome to Club Fuck It Bucket, a place where we come and talk about times when we wanted to do something and every single instinct in us and maybe the people around us told us, don't do the thing, it's too risky, and then we say, you know what, fuck it, gonna do it anyway. Um, so it's just me, myself, and I today. We had Nikki Ivy coming on, but she had to put out a fire, and so y'all are just stuck with me. So I tend to keep like a repertoire of my cocktail party stories. So I was going to tell you about my interesting relationship with grocery carts. No, Christmassy, not grocery cart, grocery cart. Um, but I actually posted late last night. I just was getting really sad, mad, all the things, thinking about Eliza Fletcher and where we are and how hard it is to be a woman these days, and sometimes hard for other people to understand what it's like. So I thought what I do actually is tell you a little bit about my post and then read some of the responses. So if you're here, hey Tara, it's so good to see you. It is Friday. You're stuck with me one way or another, and it's your own fault. You're also my neighbor. So y'all know that Tara and I are neighbors. It's the coolest thing. We get to see each other in real life. And she actually was the one who drove me to my surgery about a month ago and drove me home a little bit high and with the giggles. It was awesome. So so here we go. So one of the things, this was not my idea. This is something that I had read about a different person doing, and it just kind of has stuck with me over the years. So the question I posed was, when you are outside alone in the early morning or late evening, what are some of your best practices to avoid being raped or abducted or killed? And it's really interesting to go through and read some of the responses. So total impressions on LinkedIn at 3,792, which is, not a massive amount for some of you, but plenty of them. 69 comments on there, and looks like 30 reactions. So a pretty good sample size. What I thought was really interesting was that we've had two men pop in with ideas for what they do to keep themselves safe. One was block. So here again, and that's how you keep yourself safe. Unfortunately, statistically, when there is a gun involved in any type of physical attack on a woman, the woman is actually more likely to be injured than not. So that's not a great one for women, but seems like it's a good one for him. Another gentleman popped in and gave some advice, which was basically like, make yourself dead weight and then fight like hell. And I think that's great advice. I'm not sure that that's the advice that he thinks of for himself. I think it was more of a like, if this happens to you, this is really good self-defense advice. So as I'm starting to read through these, and if you're listening, I would love it if you would pop in and tell us some of the things that you do. So 2 responses from men. One was a piece of advice, one was blocked. From the women in my network, here's what we got. Scream and run like hell. Be aware of your surroundings. Don't wear headphones so you can hear who may be approaching from behind. Stay more towards the middle of the sidewalk and away from bushes. Always keep your keys ready in between your fingers. Stabby hands is like a staple in every woman's wardrobe, just so you know. Don't linger in a parking lot once you get in your car. Lock your doors immediately. If you see a suspicious looking vehicle parked beside the driver's side of your car or nearby, either get into the vehicle from the other side or go back to the store and ask for an escort. Try not to be walking alone at dusk or dawn. Always walk, jog, or run with a friend or two. A potential rapist or kidnapper or murderer will hesitate to confront a group and will instead look for a loner. Here's our number. I love Trevor Hansen came in and said, be the knight in the night and be the person who watches out for other people who are at risk. Michelle Hironaka says, I was taught to make eye contact and keep my head up in dark parking lots, be efficient and decisive with my actions, get in my car and go. I keep pepper spray attached to my keychain and update it every 2 years and test it yearly. She's a runner and has been in running groups for some time, but is freaked out again. So she's looking at potentially getting a Doberman so that she has good dog privilege whenever she runs. Anna, Christ, no headphones, mean mug, like resting bitch face, which is interesting because I was actually taught, and I'm from the Midwest, I was taught to like make brief eye contact, smile, like then put your head down and move fast. But Anna's almost 50 tall, so she doesn't get like I'm just like mini human. So I think that's in this movie. Don't wear a ponytail or a braid that somebody can grab you and drag you off with. Keep the well-lit areas as much as possible, and that when in Texas, carry a firearm. Lucy Griffith says, keep your keys and hand between the knuckles. Keep stabby hands, that's a big one. Don't take shortcuts down a narrow lane, stick to busy roads, carry a rape alarm, stay alert, trust your instincts if you see someone who gives you a gut feeling. Don't go home drunk without having someone check on you. Let's see who else. Deanna Russo, I walk fast, really fast. I'm always on my guard. It shouldn't be necessary, but it is. Holly Robinson says situational awareness and get out of the area prior to anything developing. Fighting, stabby key hands, pepper spray, or last resort, because they might not be as effective as with them. Jeff, I love it, says, like, it's sad that we're in this world, that we have to deal with this. What do you all have? Yeah, Chris, it's hard, right? When you don't think about that you have to worry about it, but every single woman I know thinks about these things on a regular basis, right? Like it's always running through our heads. This isn't just like oh, it's the first of the month. I need to review the things I need to do to stop from being raped. And of course, the only way to stop rapes is for people to stop raping people. And abduction, same thing, like don't do it, but we have to be on our mark. Bridget says, I love this. You know all those things they tell you to do to be healthy, like take stairs and park farther away? Absolutely not, especially not in a parking garage or lot. So then you can take elevators and garages, but you don't want to be one if you're the only woman, unless you're by yourself. Don't get in your car if it looks boxed and tight. And never underestimate the power of a full 24-ounce metal water bottle. That's hard to say. Let's see. Natalie Warren Horan says, my grandma would always tell me to be or act like I'm on the phone and talk loudly about where I am so I'm not a target. She was given a teaser by her parents before going away to college. She was told not to drink anything that was given to her without knowing what's in it. Her dad taught her how to properly punch someone. And of course, her brother got a pat on the back and a high five for existing. So interesting when we talk about drinks. Here are the rules. If you don't know them about your rules for your drink, never drink anything you didn't watch the bartender make. Never leave your drink alone. Cover it with a coaster when you aren't actively drinking it, which, by the way, is fucking disgusting. You know where those coasters go and like they reuse them and ugh, so gross. And you're supposed to put on top of your drink and then like drink out of the rim that touched it. Ugh. Wear nail polish that changes colors if it touches date rape drugs, and dunk your finger in the drink before every sip. This is a real thing, y'all. Like there was a college project, and there were a group of students invented a nail polish that if you put your finger in your drink, it colors if there are date rape drugs in there. Imagine that. You have to like literally put your finger in your drink every time before you take a drink. How about really fucking disgusting if you're sitting in a bar or anywhere else where your hands are like gross, right? Ken Schwartz, I appreciate you. Stop rape. Yep, that's a thing. Nada says, I have a Viper Tech on me at all times. I don't know what the fuck a Viper Tech is. So if anybody knows, pop it in the comments. Her parents have a live location when she's outside on her own. My family does that as well. My kids and I have an app called Life 360. We pay about $70 a year for it, and it gives us live updates where everyone is. If there's like uh, crazy braking in a car or there's an emergency button, you can hit all kinds of things, but I can find. We also wear tile trackers on our most used shoes. We keep a tile tracker in our wallet. All like different ways for us to be able to find each other if something happens. Her daughter is taught self-defense and to scream like a banshee if she thinks she's in danger, and was also taught the buddy system and to hit up the closest neighbor. Alexandria Brooks, my sweetheart, takes self-defense classes and is always ready with a pair of stilettos to gouge your eye out or pop a testicle. It has a super loud voice. So Maria also has a taser and pepper spray keychain. So that's one thing. Pamela has taken and taught boundaries and used those skills. I'd be so interested to hear from other people who have also taken or teach boundaries courses. Because like we're told different things, right? And how do you set boundaries? There are a lot of women who have been told to smile by a man and they refuse to do it and because they haven't done it, or men who have asked women out and the women have said no and they felt like it was their right to be able to go out with this person or have sex with them. And there are countless stories and cases of women who've been attacked, abducted, raped, tortured by men who felt like that the women weren't respecting them and didn't respect their boundaries. So that's a really hard one. Anybody out there been told to smile if they have resting bitch face? Ah, which we do. Natalie uh, says, never have less than half a tank of gas in your car. Know the locations of police and fire stations if you are being followed. Learn and practice a few key disabling defense moves like gouge and punch. I learned when I was a kid, eye, stomach, groin. Always let a trusted someone know where you're going and what your usual routines are. And think twice about being alone after dark or before sunset. And in fact, she said in the last 6 weeks where she lives, there are local reports of people impersonating police officers and targeting women. So that's something that I learned when I was a kid is like as I was learning to drive. Um, if you get pulled over by a police officer, if they like turn on their lights, then slow down, turn on your flashers to let them know that you saw them, and then call 911 and make sure that it's actually a police officer pulling you over and not somebody impersonating one. I also learned that when I was a 911 operator. Amy Wills, stabby key hands, pepper spray, something a little more powerful than pepper spray. Phone already dialed to 911. And she keeps, this was a really interesting one. She keeps her watch in her hand instead of on her wrist in case she needs to throw it on the ground and let it dial 911 so that her location gets seen. Who would have thought of that? But it's brilliant. Um, so I'd never heard of that one. Let's see, what else do we have? Anybody else have some advice for us? We're almost out of time. It's so crazy that I managed to fill up 15 minutes just talking about this. Um, let's see, Dusty Rose, try to stay in crowded or well-lit areas. Plan an escape route. Be conscious of people or vehicles around me. Be on the phone with someone. And in fact, she had to do this not too long ago where there was somebody a little bit sketchy, so she called a friend and then ran to her vehicle and locked the doors. Aubrey shares her location with friends and family. Gabby Key Hands, Andy Barber, you're amazing. You're always so supportive. Holly says no ponytail. Gabby Hands, look at every car, every person. Call someone so they think you can easily give someone a description. Here we go. Billy Buck Weber gave us some great advice. If they get a hold of you, drop to the ground, make them have to carry you, and fight as if their life depends on it. Not to be funny, but kind of like a black bear. And so, again, I'm not sure that that's something that Ethan's not having to do, but it's definitely great advice for women who do have to think about that. So, it's a really serious Club Fuck It Bucket today, but I want you all to know, I want you to think about the fact that I just filled 15 minutes 15 minutes of live time on the air with all kinds of different tactics that women in your lives and in your communities use to keep themselves from being raped, abducted, murdered is crazy. And the fact that many of the men we know can grab their keys and their wallet and walk out the door at any time and not have to think about those things. It's just really frustrating. So believe women's lived experiences. Know that a woman like me has has even less to worry about than our Black and Brown community members, our LGBTQIA plus community members, those with physical limitations, those types of things. Like this isn't easy, y'all. It's a hard topic. And so maybe Club Fuck It Bucket today is where you hear it and you say, you know what, fuck it. I'm going to do something to make a difference so that the women in my world and my life and my community can feel safer. And that starts with believing us that this is what happens and the way that we have to think to keep ourselves safe. And despite that, we still have women who go out for jogs and disappear off the street. And we still have people who say she shouldn't have been jogging alone. That's not the answer. The answer is not the victim is at fault here because she jogged alone, or because she walked out into a parking lot alone, or because she wore skimpy clothing, or because you could see cleavage, or because she wouldn't have sex with me whenever I asked her to at the bar and we were drinking. That is not the answer. The answer is that rape is only the cause, is only caused by rapists. And that's where you need to focus your time. You're right, Chris. It's never the victim's fault, ever. So that's it. Thank you for joining me on Club Fuck It Bucket today for a very serious topic and for supporting, for being allies, for believing, for speaking up, for watching out for us. And hopefully together we can work to make the world a safer place for everyone so that we can go out and do and say fuck it and do big things and not have to worry about staying alive while we're doing it unless it's jumping off the side of a mountain in a squirrel suit, which is definitely on my bucket list, my fuck it bucket list. All right, y'all. I hope you have an amazing weekend. Please stay safe. I love you. Thank you for being here. And we will see you next week at 1:15 Eastern Standard Time.